Hello and welcome to Froch on Fighting with me, Carl the Cobra Froch, former unified super middleweight world boxing champion and International Boxing Hall of Famer. This episode is brought to you by Cobra Casino. Right, fight week is here and I've got to be honest, I'm so excited for this one. And don't forget, you can watch the fight card of the century featuring Ortiz Beterbiev and Bivol in the light heavyweight rematch for the undisputed titles and heavyweight world title between Dubois and Joseph Parker, with belts on the line all night. Live worldwide on DAZN, the global home of boxing. Click the link in the description now and receive a 7-day free trial of DAZN with your purchase of the pay-per-view. So let's start with the rematch. Beterbiev-Bivol, number 2, a fight that we've all been waiting for because, let's be honest, the first one was that close. Not many people could split them. You couldn't pick a winner. I had Bivol originally, then I rewatched it back and I thought Beterbiev finished strong enough to actually nick the win. So it sparked debates, didn't it, with the fans and with the so-called experts in the business. That this fight really could have gone either way. Now listen, Beterbiev won. He's the older man, 40 years old, 21 wins out of 21 fights. And what we've got, Bivol, 34 years old. The age difference might be the problem with this because we always say fighters can get old overnight. And what we mean by that is because Beterbiev's 40, all of a sudden, after a hard training camp or hard sparring, he could feel old and get old overnight. But for me, as a consummate professional, he's looked good in all of his fights, even in his late 30s, now into 40. So I don't think the age will be a problem. Bivol, 34 years old, 23 wins, 12 by KO. So he's not a massive knockout man, is he? One loss to Beterbiev. So he's going to want to avenge this. Now, how do I think the rematch is going to go? I think the rematch is going to go very much similar to the first one. It's going to be Bivol using his movement, using his boxing skills, his slick boxing skills, try and keep Beterbiev off him, because Beterbiev's a big puncher, and just try and work at range and try and dominate. I mean, you're not going to dominate someone like Beterbiev, but try and be busier and pick up the points in a safe zone. So he's on his front foot, but he's able to counterpunch and manoeuvre around the ring and keep himself out of harm's way as long as possible to try and nick a points decision. That's what I think he's going to have to try and do. But Beterbiev, he's got plenty of hard work in his repertoire. He throws a lot of punches. He punches hard, body and head. He can outskill the best of them as well. I mean, people get mixed up and think that Beterbiev's just a big warmonger and he's a big puncher and he comes forward and irons people out, which is what he does tend to do. But he beat Bivol in the first one on points. And listen, this guy's hard to stop in his tracks. He's hard to knock out. I don't think he can be knocked out. He's one of these guys that can just swallow up punches and just walk through big, heavy shots. He's tough, he's strong. He could get old overnight and he could end up feeling a couple of punches. He has been on the floor, and not briefly, got up to win that fight. But I just think in this one, Bivol needs to be busier. He needs to concentrate even more. He needs to concentrate for longer. If he's going to get the win, I think it's only going to be points, and he's going to have to be busy and effective and be really, really strong defensively, really cute defensively. I'm not sure he can do it. I'm really not. It's going to be another close fight. It's another 50-50 pick and match. But for me, I think Ortiz Beterbiev probably gets a little bit closer, a little bit earlier. He always finishes strong. And I don't think he'll get Bivol out of there, but I think he'll land the eye-catching shots. The heavy shots are always the ones that catch the judge's eye. And he's got that big punch and that equaliser. So I just think that Beterbiev, for me, is a slight favourite in a fight that, let's be honest, could go either way. If it goes to points, any one of these guys could win this fight. But I just think that Beterbiev has just got that edge. And with the power and the big finish, it shows he's still fit even at 40 years old. He's able to finish strong. I think that could be the decider with this. The strong finish and that extra punch power. But Bivol may just turn up, work out of his skin. He might turn up a little bit fitter than the first time if that's possible, because he's always super fit. He's a consummate professional, he's a real athlete. But if he turns up a bit fitter, a bit faster paced, and keeps out the way, he could nick this on points. But my money is on Beterbiev. So, on to the chief support, Dubois against Joseph Parker. This is a great fight. It's one I'm looking forward to. A lot of people are split on who they think is going to win because Joseph Parker has been rejuvenated. He climbed off the canvas twice. It's not good that he's had to climb off the canvas, but the fact that he did that against Zhang to beat him, and he also beat Deontay Wilder, even though Wilder's about finished in it. I mean, he's looked crap in his last couple of fights. He's lost that edge. He looks like he's gun shy. Zhang knocked him out, then he battered him from the side, like it was a bit of a side shot from behind. But he's just not looked good, Deontay Wilder. So I can't give Joseph Parker too much credit for that fight. And he's mentally more switched on and ready for this late finish to his career. It's like Joseph Parker 2.0, isn't it? It's like he's back and is looking good. But Daniel Dubois, he walked through bullets against Hrgovic, got hit with a lot of shots. Hrgovic was big and tough and throwing shots, and Daniel Dubois was walking through him. Ridiculous, really, got hit way too much. But the fact that he walked through him and then got the job done against Hrgovic, for me, is a great win. Who else did he beat? Did he beat Jerome Miller? I mean, that was a decent win for him. He was under the cosh. Punches were coming at him. Miller was game. And Daniel Dubois just stood his ground, waited his time, bided his time, and then got the job done. And he looked good doing it. Not to mention the absolute fucking wipeout of Anthony Joshua. He didn't just beat AJ. He hurt him in round one, dropped him. And then for 3-4 more rounds, he was beating him up at range and timing him with good, accurate shots. Good right hand, big puncher. He can box well behind that jab. He's got a nice jab as well, Dubois. And then when AJ came for him and caught him and gave him a little bit of a wobble, a bit unsteady on his feet, Dubois was able to keep himself poised, keep himself focused and concentrate and time that right hand on the way in. And when that right hand detonated on AJ's chin, we saw the effect. It put him into fucking orbit, didn't it? Absolutely wiped him out. So the fact that he's coming off the back of that win and the confidence that he's going to bring into the ring with Parker, I don't think he's going to be worried. Parker's not a big puncher. Daniel Dubois can bang. He's fit enough for 12 rounds as well. So although Parker's looking good after the Zhang fight and after the Deontay Wilder fight, I don't think it's enough to go in there and stick it on Daniel Dubois. I think Daniel Dubois is growing in confidence. Don Charles has done a fantastic job with him, which I've said before. And I just think he's flying. He's on the crest of this wave. And he's only 27 years old. So he's approaching his prime. He's fit, strong. He's just looking good. I like everything about Daniel Dubois at the minute. Big puncher, nice jab, as I've already said. And I just think this is going to be a nightmare for Joseph Parker. For Joseph Parker to win this fight, he's going to have to stay out of trouble, use his jab, his movement, get around the ring on his feet, and stay out of trouble for 12 rounds. And Daniel Dubois is quite busy. Gets behind that jab once he gets in range, and he's going to fancy it as well. I think this could be a time for Daniel Dubois to really showcase his skills, put on an outrageous performance, and then move onwards and upwards and take over the division. I mean, we're looking at maybe getting a rematch with Alexander Usyk if he sticks around long enough, and that would be exciting. Listen, I think Daniel Dubois is going to do the job, and I absolutely think that Joseph Parker's a great character. I think a lot of him as a gentleman. I think he's great, but this is boxing. And I tell the fucking truth, as you know. I think Daniel Dubois is going to demolish him. I think it's going to be inside the distance. It's going to be a great fight. Right, so we've also got Floyd Schofield taking on Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson is a 27-year-old American fighter who's got lightning fast hands, very skillful. A lot of people complain that he's not easy on the eye to watch. He can be accused of being boring. But listen, if he can dominate fights at range and just dissect his opponents and not get overpunched, then who can fault him? It is what it is. He won a silver medal at the Rio Olympics in 2016. He's unbeaten, and Floyd Schofield is taking him on. He's 18 wins, 12 victories by knockout, so he can punch a little bit. In my honest opinion, I think it's probably a step too far for Floyd Schofield at this stage of his career. Listen, dare to be great. He's got to step up at some stage, and he's stepping up here against somebody who's actually dominating at this level. And with his speed and his skill set, I just think it's going to be an absolute mount to climb for Schofield. It'll be a decent fight while it lasts, and I just think Schofield's going to lose his unbeaten record, but he'll come again after this. It's no real shame. Stevenson doesn't tend to knock anybody out. He's not a massive puncher, but he just dominates at range behind his skillful, fast hands and gets the job done. So, like I said, it's a really, really difficult fight for Schofield, this is. I think it'll be maybe an early night for Schofield in terms of he might get done, but he'll probably hear the final bell. I'd actually like to see Shakur Stevenson, if he does get through this fight with Schofield, I'd like to see him take on Gervonta Tank Davis, because I just think that would be an outrageously exciting fight to watch, and I think Tank Davis would stick it on him and get the job done. So elsewhere on the card, Hamza Sheeraz steps up to take on Carlos Adames, and this is a fight that I think Sheeraz can win and probably will win, but don't write off Carlos Adames. He's coming up from welterweight originally. He struggled at welterweight, then he was up at light middleweight. Now he's more comfortable at middle. He's a switch hitter, 30 years old, 24 wins. He's had one loss, but it was a while ago. There's no standout name on his record. Sheeraz is only 25 years old, and he's dubbed to come forward into the world level and do big things. So this is his step up. This is his acid test. And I'll be honest, this is a tough fight for him. I think it's a fight he'll come through, but with Carlos Adames, bit of a natural switch hitter, can bang a little bit, is a good all-rounder, and he's got more experience at this level. So I just think that Hamza Sheeraz will keep his range, work his jab, work his boxing skills. Commonwealth champion, European title, I believe. He's of that sort of level now where he's dominated at that level, and now he needs to step up and show people, show himself as well, prove to himself that he belongs at world level. And this is a great step up for him for the WBC strap, the best belt in the business. That's the one there, the green and gold belt. I've got 2 of them behind me. I'm not showing off, but this is a big step up for him, and I think he's ready for the test. But it's no gimme. This is a tough fight for him, but one I think he'll come through. So next up, we've got Virgil Ortiz against Israel Madrimov. Ortiz Jr. is a slight favourite, and I'll go with that one. So another fight I'm looking forward to. Kabayel takes on Zhang. I just think that Zhang, at 41 years old, although he's a good fighter and he's capable, I think after 6 rounds, he falls apart. 27 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 22 victories by knockout. So he can bang. Notable wins over Deontay Wilder and Joe Joyce. So don't write him off. But don't forget Joseph Parker beat him more recently. He gets tired. And he had Parker on the floor twice. He gets tired as the fight goes on. And Kabayel is one of these fighters that, in my opinion, is being avoided. People don't want to fight him. He's got an undefeated professional records, 25 wins, 17 by knockout, and he's got wins over Derek Chisora, Frankie Sanchez, and I just think that Kabayel would do a job on Zhang. It might think Kabayel would take over and get Zhang out of there. Either knock him out, or the ref will jump in, or the towel will throw in the corner will throw in the towel. But this is another great fight on a stacked card. But for me, Kabayel does the business. And opening the show on this great card is Joshua Buatsi against my old sparring partner, Callum Smith. I've actually sparred both these guys. And to be honest, when I sparred Callum Smith early doors, I used to take my time with him. And Rob used to tell me to watch my power, because he was still an amateur, looking at going to the Olympics maybe. And it was, as a professional for me, being professional world champion, you've got to take your time. But when I sparred Buatsi's a natural light heavyweight. So it's a weight division above Callum Smith. And I think Rob actually sneakily told Buatsi to take his time with me. I found out sort of after, because Buatsi can bang a little bit. He's a naturally bigger man. And although maybe not, he was taking his time with me, he was still able to cope in the spar better than what Callum Smith was. Now, when Callum Smith turned pro, he improved and he's done what he's done. But he stepped up to light heavyweight, didn't he, to take on Beterbiev after losing to Canelo at super middleweight. So he was kind of happy to just lose on points. And then he stepped up to light heavyweight and got battered by Beterbiev. And most people do get battered by Beterbiev, because Beterbiev's a dangerous fighter. But I just think Buatsi, being the naturally bigger man and having sparred with both of them and looking at where they are in their careers, I think Buatsi really, for me, is in a position where he can take this fight on, get Callum Smith beat. If he doesn't get him out of there, maybe beat him on points. It'll be close while it lasts, but I just think the strength and the power of Buatsi and the experience and that natural size, I think he does the job against Callum Smith. I think Callum Smith's closing in on the end of his career, and Buatsi's looking to move on to the next level. It's an intriguing fight, a really, really good fight. But I've got Buatsi just edging this one in what will be a tight fight, close fight early doors, and I think Buatsi pulls away as the fight goes on. I don't think it'll be a stoppage by either man, but as I've already said, this is a great fight to open the show. So before I wrap today's episode, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I've got a few questions from my producer. He's not a bad lad, my producer. He knows his stuff, but I don't want to stroke his ego too much. Right, which fight am I most looking forward to? And thinking about this, obviously the Beterbiev Bivol fight, I'm looking forward to that, because is anybody going to actually dominate and get their hand held in a dominant performance? Because it's so tight and so close. Is somebody going to come and do something different and really take this fight by the horns and make a win? If Beterbiev knocks out Bivol, what a fight what a performance that would be. And if Bivol can dominate on the outside and win on points and just shut out Beterbiev, then that would also be awesome. But which fight am I looking forward to the most? I've got to say Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker. Because if Daniel Dubois can do the job in style, which I think he can do, then the excitement for that for me is he can take over and kind of run the heavyweight division in Britain, at least represent Great Britain in the heavyweight division worldwide. Obviously, he's IBF world champion. With a dominant performance against Parker, who's flying at the minute, I just think it shows and it proves, especially after he ironed out Anthony Joshua, it just shows that he belongs at world level and the world's his oyster from there. I mean, a rematch with Usyk would be fantastic. I don't think Usyk's going to be around long, but imagine if he beats Usyk at the end of his career. But anyway, I'm daydreaming, but that's the fight I'm probably most looking forward to, the Dubois-Parker fight, and then potentially him going on to get a rematch. But anyway, still waffling. Next one. What could be fight of the night? Right, Ortiz Madrimov, for me, that's going to be a head-to-head fight. This fight could happen in a phone box. I don't think anyone's going to take a step backwards. So I think that's going to be fight of the night. It's going to be a real tear-up between two guys who do not want to back down. And finally, last but not least, we've got a question. Who is going to steal the show? Who will steal the show? I think personally that Hamza Sheeraz, if he puts a performance on, this is his step up now. This is his acid test. He's got the invite now to becoming a world champion. And I know what it's like when you're fighting for your first world title. Jean Pascal, 12-round war against an unbeaten Canadian who went on to dominate a light heavyweight. Anyway, enough about me. I just think that Hamza Sheeraz, if he does the job against Carlos Adamas, again, the world is his oyster. He can move on and do great things on the world scene. So, what a fight card. Really looking forward to every single fight on the bill. Don't forget to tune in on DAZN. I've been Carl Froch. This is Froch on Fighting. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. And until the next time, I'll see you.
The fight card of the century. Live on DAZN worldwide. February 22nd. With belts on the line all night. Featuring an epic rematch. Beterbiev versus Bivol 2. For the undisputed light heavyweight championship.
Undisputed on the line.
Dubois versus Parker. Defend or dethrone for the world heavyweight crown. Stevenson versus Schofield. Superstars battle for lightweight world championship glory. Adames versus Sheeraz. Heavy hitters meet for the middleweight championship of the world. Ortiz Jr. versus Madrimov. Knockout kings collide for the world super lightweight throne. Zhang versus Kabayel. Titans clash for world heavyweight domination. Buatsi versus Smith. Battle of Britain eliminator for a shot at the world title. The fight card of the century. February 22nd. With belts on the line all night. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.